Okay, sorry about that, everybody. I guess the OBS system froze after 15 minutes, and we are finally landed in the world of Gillinor. So, if I share what is my screen, this is how you actually enter in the competition. Okay, so if you watched on Tutorial Island at the very end, I was able to make it to what is the guy who allows you to be an Ironman. Okay, so here I am. You can see that I'm an Ironman because I have this little red thing. It could either be red or silver. That means that you're an Ironman. Ideally, what you want to do, I just chose the name to plot AI, so this would count. But ideally, just do a hashtag to plot AI and chat like this, okay? And then once you send that, just take a screenshot of where you start with your actual stats. And then whenever you are trying to enter in the competition, right, just go over here and then create a response. And then within here is where you would just kind of drop in that screenshot. And then just kind of from that initial first day in Gillinor, and then I guess your last day that you decide to play this game, show the stats where you got, and whoever gets the furthest wins. So right now I chose a hardcore Ironman, so I will make it part of this that if I die, this account doesn't count. So I'm playing on extreme difficulty over here, but I am a professional. I've been doing this for a little bit, so I think I'll be okay. So here we go. We're going to start off and we're going to just kind of get some easy dubs real quick. We're going to get some range levels up, try to get some XP and that HP, see if we can get some drops that will help us prepare for what is this adventure we're getting ready to embark on. Hammer really ain't that useful. I think I already have a hammer. All right. So hard thing is you're so low. Level 3. Everything's level 1 right now. Cooking's almost there. The cow pen might not be a bad spot to start. But yeah, things are looking pretty good. That's another Iron Man. You can see him. He's probably near his 31 day mark, level 40, you know. But yeah, this is just relaxing, isn't it? You guys just chilling? I'm just chilling. I'm in no rush. So I'm gonna kind of play a little bit of see if I can find some royalty free, commercial free instrumentals. So if you don't know in this game, I'll kind of give you a few tips along the way. In this back corner, you can find what are these starter guys, and every single hour, I'm pretty sure it's every single hour. I'm gonna drop these real quick so I can talk to this mage and get some magic stuff. All right, but if you talk to her. So I don't know which one it is, but she'll kind of tell you about magic, and she'll give you some runes to start off. Maybe I have to right click. Yeah, I could just claim. All right, that's so much easier. So just right click her. Don't talk to her, but just drop the current runes that you have and right click and claim. And every single hour you can do it with her. You could do it with this range guy, and then you'll be able to get what is some ammunition to kind of start your adventure with. It's not much, but every bit helps. So let's see if this guy can give me some armor too. So as an Iron Man, if you talk to this guy, you'll get a set of armor, which is pretty useful. Another really cool come up is over here. You can talk to Count Dracula, and I think he'll teleport you to Varrock if need be. And then, yeah, here we go. Just kind of going about it. I'm going to move. I guess. Should have stuck at the goblins. Let's get racked up. Switch armor. Man, level 6. I don't know. I'm going to get the ever-living snot beat out of me. Yeah, I'm just going to run. Yeah, clearly no XP waste on how I play this game. But yeah, we're just going to do this for a moment. We're just going to have a little bit of fun. Maybe play some tunes. Let's see what we got. See, I'm a little bit more relaxed now. All you need is a little bit of jazz. Makes life a lot easier. So yeah, the real beauty in this is that you don't need to just do this. I would honestly prefer if this is only in the background. Um, Ideally, if you you program, you can have 2 monitors up or 3 or 4, depending on how hardcore you are in your battle station setup. Mine's relatively. Oof, let's see what we got. We got I got you guys right there in the corner. I got this is my OBS system up top, which allows me to switch cameras and perspectives. So as I can't click on that. I can only click through this. So I'm recording what is this computer, and then up top is the OBS system that's recording everything else. So if I switch, I could jump in between different views, and you can kind of see me jump around like that. So it's inspired by OBS, but ideally what I'm doing now is level 2 or level 3. I didn't realize how fast I've been flying. But yeah, level 3 woodcutting right now, just for the record. But yeah, in building my own OBS system and in general, whenever I initially got my start in, entrepreneurship, which is I went about creating a respirator mask business. So this was the first business I ever created. And I did it before COVID. So I was in college, I was broke, and this was absolutely the only thing I could afford to buy into. It cost me 22 cents to manufacture a box of respirator masks in China. I stacked them up, and by its peak, whenever COVID did hit, I was the only person with inventory. And that was opportunity. It was a great way for me to get out of the debt to establish a company. But in establishing this company, it wasn't all just rainbows and roses. You wouldn't realize it, but there's a lot going against you. And for me, I didn't have all my eggs in one basket. I was selling on eBay. I was selling them on Amazon. I was doing direct fulfillment, whenever I would find people in industry that needed them, and we would set up quantities and delivery. But yeah, with that, whenever COVID did strike, it was a great moment for the business because I was making, money hand over fist. But with that, because of the world events and what I saw, and just all these networks that I was dependent on. For example, Amazon, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, all of these channels that I was using to establish what was a authentic small business, but due to bad actors that were, entering in the space and at what was the peak of COVID, all of these individual isolated, providers, these networks that I had created my business on, they ended up putting in rules that directly took away this entire business from me. So practically what they said is that if you are selling, respirator masks, P3, P2, P1 equipment, you can't do that on what is Amazon. You can't sell masks on eBay. You can't sell masks on Facebook Marketplace. I could understand, and I kind of do because of, I guess the complexity and what was a very arduous time. But for somebody who had, the forefront thought to, establish and try to create something, and I had been doing this for years, and I had already established the business. I didn't just show up in COVID and start selling masks. I was doing this 2, 3, 4 years ahead of that. And I was kicked to the curb, and I lost the ability to sell on Amazon. I lost the ability to sell on eBay. And from that moment and from that day, I knew that I was going to get into software development. I was going to become a monster because of what was the liability of becoming dependent on a single entity. This is so important and it's so pressing for what is this moment. And I keep going back to it because it is true, but we really do have the capabilities to build, innovate, and create practically anything from scratch. So now, for example, if I want to sell anything, I have my own network. I have my own direct source. I have my own e-commerce shop. I have my own payment system configured and set up. I have established what is practically needed to fully understand the software, but to create the workflows that support the work that I do. And also have a platform that is independent to what are really great, social media networks, but they are also really great liabilities. They're not your friend. They don't care about you. So in this, all I'm just trying to do is I'm trying to articulate through someone who has gone through a range of different businesses and industry, some of the things that I've taken along what has been this arduous journey. The opportunity, it isn't shown initially. It originates in what is trying to strike on doing something that is unique. You have no idea. And whenever I started this business, I was piss broke. I was living in what was a closet, couch surfing off of friends, and I was working over, 80 hours a week, and I was doing night school alongside. I was trying to find a way to claw at and create an opportunity to provide a path forward for myself. The way I did it, it was smart. I started working in hotel hospitality and I got into what is becoming a night audit. A night audit is somebody who practically just sits at the counter in the middle of night at a hotel, and it's from practically 11 o'clock to 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. So your primary job is to check people in that come in really late. You run a few audits on what is the hotel and you do a few manager tasks. But for the majority of the time that you're allotted and what is this, role that I had, it was uh, free time. The whole thing that they really cared about is, hey, just don't fall asleep on the job. You got to be awake throughout the whole shift and then just stay on the post. And as long as you get what is needed done, the rest of the time is yours to do with whatever. That was what provided the opportunity to invest in this. It was strategic data science, going through what are the numbers and trying to find something where a broke, piss poor college kid could try to strike their own in what is industry. At the time, I was working as that night audit, but I was also working in an Amazon fulfillment center. Those things are insane. It showed me the future directly. I was making, it was very difficult work. But the way that thing ran and it startled me because I knew that I could never, like, I didn't want to find myself trapped working in an Amazon fulfillment center for the rest of my life. Like that would be torture. And the whole time that I was over here doing the same task every single day, like, for example, taking a product, scanning it, throwing it into the robot, and I had another camera, that was practically, looking at my back the whole time. And this camera was, just locked in on me. It was trying to it was trying to see how many products I was stacking in the robot every single day. So every single day I get into my post, I'm over here, and you have somebody breathing down your neck, but it is a system. It's this this counter that's constantly in the screen in the right side corner of what is your workstation, and you're getting buckets load of inventory that you're having to quickly stack into what are these smart Roombas that are flying across what is this warehouse. It is absolutely insane. But in that, and what was that crappy job, I did notice how it was ran, and I noticed that, who is really making the money in this? And I saw a way for me to create what is this opportunity. So that's how this originally got its start. It was me in college going for entrepreneurship and business management. I was working constantly, 2 different jobs, and I was exhausted. And I didn't see, what was the school or the education system as being able to provide me the skill sets needed to be an effective entrepreneur or a effective, person in what is enterprise workspaces. So what I did is I decided after my second year I was going to walk away from college. I was going in for entrepreneurship and business management, and I decided to strike it out on my own. That's where the respirator mask came from. With that, I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. And in practically everything I do and how I kind of approach this, I'm never trying to put all my eggs in one basket. I have a range of different baskets that are set up and configured as to hopefully diversify what is the risk of taking on any new venture. Now, there are a lot of times where, yeah, dude, you got to rack up and you got to stack up and you got to really make some serious bets, and it hurts. And you don't know if it's ever going to pay off. And half the time, it doesn't. But when that doesn't happen, you damn well learn a lesson and you're more prepared for what is that next adventure. So with this and with the way that I kind of diversified and went about this, I have it somewhere. I think I threw it in here. One moment. All right, the other business right here. This is let's go. This is a pretty crypto hopper. I was one of the first people to jump on what is algorithmic trading. Right. I got into Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the altcoin market at what was $1,800 when I was working in, that hotel out in college. I had one thing. I had one object that was valuable. It was $6,000 and what was a Honda Civic. It was my only means of transportation. What I did, it was insane. Highly do not recommend this. I sold what is that Honda Civic, and I maxed out every single credit card I could find. And I bought as much Bitcoin as I could get my grimy little hands on at $1,800. And in what was less than a year, I watched it skyrocket to $20,000. And in that time, a broke college kid went from piss poor to having $80,000 in the bank. And then with that, it allowed me the opportunity to kind of go out to California and to really dive into the algorithmic trading industry and to get slowly bled out in what was a 2-year sprint where it peaked and then it kind of died out. And I ran through that $80,000 really fast. I had other things on me and it did save my life, but it also taught me a lot, and it gave me perspective on how fast and fleeting, these strikes and opportunities are, because they don't seem to last forever. And your focus is to take hold of the moment and to really make it and milk it for what it's worth. A lot of people, they get lost in the nuances of a I guess a single project, and they have one opportunity to kind of allow them an escape from what is their current situation. But the way I kind of play is I set up multiple buckets and I try to, play it out. So for whenever I went out to California, by the time that Bitcoin was going through its thing and it was kind of getting hit hard, I ended up, kind of moving back. And that's whenever COVID kind of struck. And then this thing kind of flew off. So initially, this was a dead business. Like for probably the first 1 year, I was barely selling any masks. But then whenever Bitcoin started doing bad, this started doing good. And then it allowed me a way to kind of continue to navigate into my career. So yeah, there's a lot more to this. There's a lot more nuance. It's hard to kind of, play a silly video game and showcase and tell what is this adventure. But in this, let's see where we're at. I'm level 7 fire making, level 6 wood cutting. This isn't the fastest way to grind out levels, but I'm probably in the leaderboard. I think I'm probably in top 3 right now in what is this competition. So I've said it a few times, and you'll keep on hearing it. But if you make your way over to what is the Dash open source, you can find what is this competition that I'm running, where you have the ability to win, $1,000, over $1,000, and ideally, I'd like to up the ante every single month. Kind of get more people, kind of shake the boat a little bit further, and see if I can get a clan together. It's very lonely at the top, and I don't feel like there are that many people that fully understand or grasp, what a network that you own is able to provide. But through what is a range of different projects, and now I'm really able to not have all my eggs in one basket. And for software engineering in general, there's a lot of shakeups kind of going on, and there's a lot of back and forth. But in this, as you can see here, this is a fleet. This is a fair amount of projects. If I make my way over to the, documentation, you can go down to the index, but this is 7,000 downloads in Summernote. We have 12,000 downloads in Emoji Mart, 15,000 downloads in Penellium. Excalidraw has 10,000. So over what is a range of different components that are getting more professional, more established, and growing alongside my career, I've really been able to establish what is within the software, not just a network of applications that are able to play off of each other and have specific workflows, but also I'm able to have components that could expand outside of just my own network and allow other people to launch their own networks and to have something that is independent. Because you don't need to necessarily, you don't need to be dependent on a single provider for anything. You can, at this moment, you can build out your own social media network. You can build out your own e-commerce network. You can build out these tools that were gated by what were huge enterprise teams. That is the real power. A single individual can be an enterprise client within themselves, and they can scaffold and create, what is a way to reach the consumer at a level that I can't do in what is this area that I live in. So, for example, right, I live in a small town, and for what is my reach at max, I don't think that there are that many people that are that interested in the area that I live about software development. I could maybe sell services, small mom and pop shops, but it's really not the goal, or it's a lot of babysitting. Ideally, in what is kind of forming, in my opinion, is I think that we have two separate economies that are probably more than just two, but you have a few correlated economies which are in their own buckets but starting to scale. I think instead of having to deal with individuals, ideally, I'd love to just sell to agents. I don't know if you know anything about working customer service, but people suck. They really do. And the more people that you have to manage, the more people that you're having to serve, if you're creating a business that is structured, or an application that's structured to serve a bunch of human clients, just be and understand you are going to be facing a absolute disgusting, I guess work-life balance, but also just it's so much more demanding. Where ideally, if I can establish a network, and if I can sell outside of the individual, and if I could go straight to the agent, then I don't have the headache. I can really, from an individual level, I can create something that is autonomous, that can scale on its own, that's growing within the AI space and within the network, but it's not dependent on the consumer. Now, with software engineering and trying to get other capable people, the social media and all the other jazz that I'm doing here, yeah, I'm having to deal with people. But in this, I'm trying to give back, and I'm trying to showcase and explain and articulate what are complex topics and not just business, but in the inner workings of the software, and trying to establish a stack that is individual and specific to yourself. Because in this environment that we currently live in, there are so many people out there that want, you within what is their walled garden. And for me, I don't care to be wealthy, but I do care to be small town wealthy. And you don't need that many people to build out a community. You don't need that many people, only a handful, to really have an effect in what is anything at this moment. If I can get as far as I've been able to get in my little old school RuneScape journey, but in general in life, and in the software that I've been building out, on an individual level, a lot of other people are going to be following very closely behind me. And a lot of people don't understand how to navigate it, because there are a lot of things to master within, especially software in general. And I want to advise to, not just give everything to AI and not understand it. It's a great tool to help you and quickly progress what is the work that you're doing. But a lot of what people get stuck on is that they don't fully understand what is the foundation. And without that, you're not really going to be able to scale it much further past what is, a wall in innovation, until you are able to catch up from a grasp of the landscape perspective to allow you to kind of get into that next level of echelon and what is your profession or in any individual, expertise. So with this, part of AI and part of what I'm doing here, it's really focused towards the documentation, trying to create a new application in this moment is probably the quickest way to get your lunch eaten. I don't think a lot of developers, I think a lot of people, like from a creative perspective, it's a lot of fun to build a game. It's a lot of fun to build an application. But with that, you have everything focused in a single entity. And in this moment, practically AI, and at the rate and the exponential scale that it is rising, your application is going to become, worth nothing quicker than you can get it deployed. So with that, and with the scale of how things are kind of changing, the application isn't the goal for an individual developer to kind of be able to secure themselves and make some moolah. Ideally, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to establish the tools, the documentation, the network that equates into all the applications, the work, the SEO, and the architecture that is currently scaling on top of what is the AI space. So I'm doing that directly through just releasing components, but there are a range of other ways that you can kind of do it in this own space. Another way that I'm doing it is through kind of using AI API calls on existing, architecture, existing problems, and trying to solve and create, smart workflows that allow the individual to quickly, work with AI. So instead of just having AI doing everything, for you, what my approach is, I create dashboards that allow the user to have control and to see what the AI is doing, but have a direct source as to create an end result or an end product, a generative, media that is at the end of it. So, for example, the tile sets, that is a specific category that most people don't touch. Most people don't know much about tile sets. They don't know about map making. They don't. There's not really any current generative function in what is the tiles themselves, or how can you pair AI with map making and cartography to create useful application. What is the world around us? There's so much opportunity in that on an individual level, and just trying to understand and map out the world from your perspective, but also in just trying to establish the workflows that pair with people to allow them to bridge that gap. And for this, what I'm doing is I'm practically creating what is a huge bucket of oil. I'd call it diesel, But ideally what I'm doing is I'm perfecting that prompt engineering, and then I'm saving all of the results that is generated through the prompt engineering, the workflow, and is currently being accumulated on itself in its own respective bucket, so that, as AI agents, one of the biggest issues that they have is they don't have the information. And what I'm doing here is I have created an oil refinery and what is the AI race in my own network to hopefully be able to scale out not only my own inner working applications, but to be able to offer what is collections of useful data or resources as to help scale out and share and establish other networks, workflows, and systems. Or anyway, but with that, all I'm doing here is I'm just cutting wood, farming content on YouTube, trying to establish this little niche in software development. And ideally, if I could get some Old School RuneScape fanboys over here to, subscribe to the channel, that would be great, because I have a lot of quality content and bangers. But ideally, we all kind of need a handbook. We need a way to kind of, be able to showcase how far we've gotten, but also be able to provide it to you so that you can kind of have a quick starting point to quickly launch out from. Because it's very difficult to understand specific industry or specific complex topics without having a guide who's already kind of started to scratch the surface. Ideally, and one of the most important things, I think, it's difficult to fully master something without articulating it. You're not really capable until you're able to talk in a live realm. You need to quickly be able to, change conversation and to adjust and to be able to, steer your ship in the moment. And to do that, you need to have what are real conversations in real spaces and try to provoke and hopefully give back in what is, my own career. And in specific sections, I've created tutorial videos. I've tried to, share every bit of knowledge that I have in a structured way as to ideally help get, more people established in what is this space, but also be able to hopefully provide, people with their own ships to hopefully navigate careers and to create opportunities to have fulfilling lives, and in this, it's a very rewarding because I'm getting something out of it. I would love to have more capable software developers who can build and innovate like me. I feel like I am one of one, and the only thing that scares me is someone like me. So ideally, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a bunch of people who can build, create, and innovate like me. And with that, we can kind of take what is, our skill sets, we can share them, but we can focus them in what is our expertise, and we can define our own niches, so that, for example, everyone has their own passions, but ideally what you're trying to do is you're trying to take what you love and you're trying to take what is this powerful software and this way to innovate and create, and you're trying to marry them, and you're creating what are these mad science experiments to see how far you can get on specific projects. And as you do that, you're going to start to see how they interconnect, or the doors or opportunities that they're able to provide or open up. So yeah, with that, that's kind of the magic in all this. And see where we're at. We're at level 9 woodcutting and level 15 fire making. I wonder if even anyone's on stream. Probably bored out of your mind watching me talk, playing this silly game. But I think I've gotten pretty far. I don't know how long I've been doing this. Next thing I need to add to the OBS system is a live counter as to give me an indication for how long I've been streaming. But this is pretty cool. The fact that I can have my own OBS system, the fact that I can, quickly launch out applications. And a lot of that is attributed to what is just good documentation, but you need a initial boilerplate to start from. I think, two of the most impactful places I could kind of get you if you are interested and you want to start. Boilerplate.2plot.dev is what is a very specific application that is designed to fit any operating system and any display range. It supports light and dark mode, but it also has this LLMs.txt as to be very capable for the agent. So that if you share what is this LLMs.txt, you'll have the ability to build individual components. Or, for example, the boilerplate, you can quickly, use this. I would just delete the /docs within the documentation and then just start off on your own. But you have the initial, layout that would allow you to quickly and effectively, create your own components. Outside of that, if you understand, you understand, but llms.2plot.dev is currently my most popular project. From the past 30 days, it's quickly grown and it's becoming, very useful. And I think that the bots, and from what I'm telling or what I can see in the data science itself, the bots love it. They really do. They love it. So this pairs what is a lot of the initial work that has started on the Dash MCP realm, but also it's kind of focused towards web crawlers and SEO and establishing a Dash application that could be seen on the internet and fully understood and navigated through, where it is presented to AI and LLMs in bite-sized pieces rather than the whole enchilada, so that it doesn't just eat up at your tokens, but it also provides what is a gate in just being able to establish, a direct connection with what you're building in the overarching internet as a whole. So yeah, this has been the biggest win so far. It's been fun. I'm at level 2. We have a level 25 over here. Almost level 4. This is the progress we're at. Very slow and tedious. But yeah, this is the Ironman route. You kind of just play a game and then you jump in between different projects. You do some prompt engineering. You spin out some Claude Code instances, and then you just kind of vibe out and maybe do a live stream or two. This is peak content farming. So yeah, with that, I'm not. We'll see if I jump on some more. See if you guys even like these live streams, and maybe we can have some more direct conversations. And if I can, kind of help, create something that is not just programming. I'd like to ideally get, turn what are people that love a great game into capable engineers. That would be so freaking cool. But it's funny, man. I talk to a lot of people in the space, and some of the most efficient people that currently build, Dash applications or focus within software development, they attribute, either to a video game or even AI in general. Like, it started in video games. Like, this space has a lot to teach us. And even just being able to manage a specific task and to stay on task, such as killing this little goblin of mine, and being able to, have another thing going at the same time. For example, this live stream, or if I was doing engineering and I was just trying to do some coding, and play some RuneScape, this is a great way to do both. And if you want to do 3 things, you can watch this live stream, code, and play your own account. God damn, it's there's a lot of things on the oven, isn't it? But with that, you'd be able to multitask, and I finally hit level 4. So with that, I think we're getting near to what is the end of this live stream. I think for my first day on Gielinor, I've spent about an hour. Getting through Tutorial Island was maybe 20 minutes. I probably extended it out a little bit longer just through my rambling. But once we actually entered in the real world of Gielinor, we were able to do a lot of wood cutting. We're level 9. It's pretty impressive. We can wield the steel axe. And then we got to level 11 on, the fire making. Level 3 strength. It's not the worst start, but I think someone could do better if they even tried. So I'm going to take my screenshot. And as I said, if you are trying to compete in this, ideally what you're trying to do is, just make it look real. So hashtag 2plot.ai. I don't care how you do it, but you just do that. Take a screenshot, and it's in the chat, of your skills, and then just go over to what is the forum post and then just respond what you learned from playing the game in the 31 days or however long you ended up playing, and then just share that screenshot of your start of the day and at what is the last day that you played this game. And if you have the coolest adventure, if you got the furthest and what is Gielinor, you would find yourselves a little bit richer, $200 in what is a Claude Code Max subscription. I'm excited. See what you got. But yeah, with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Build something amazing. And I hope you guys have a great Sunday.